following programme is recommended for those 16 and over, as it contains sporting violence, possible bad language, and flashing imagery.
Always get behind their heroes.
Oh, there's a tap! Stevie Ray gets the finish!
And their heroes never forget where they're from.
Scotland!
Stevie Braveheart Ray was a pioneer in Scottish MMA.
I just loved fighting. I would fight for free.
Oh, big left hit! Stevie Ray drops Alexander Martinez!
Now he faces a fellow trailblazer from Wales.
He's out! He's out! We're done. A spectacular performance by Lewis Long.
While a group of fellow countrymen look to take over their home nation.
That elbow from Ewan, and again, and he drops Gugnon. That was so impressive!
Plus, the PFL Europe season reaches a pivotal point. 8 semi-finals for 8 championship spots.
Oh! Has Gugnon sleeps Tochinova!
As the fight to become PFL Europe champion continues. A pride of Scotland.
Oh! Huge shot!
And win or go home playoffs.
Oh, there it is! Beautiful! Left hand!
Live from Glasgow, this is PFL Europe.
Welcome, PFL fight fans, to beautiful Glasgow, Scotland. The PFL Europe playoffs touchdown in the land of Robert the Bruce and William Wallace. Tonight, it is win or go home for fighters in 4 different weight classes chasing $100,000 PFL Europe Championships. And we will feature some Scottish legends here on the card. Stevie Braveheart Ray, Lewis Long in your main event. Robert Whiteford, Roger Huerta in the co-main. The Ovo Hydro hosting an incredible night of fights here in Glasgow. Sean O'Connell and Dan Hardy here beside our smart cage. Very, very happy to be here in Scotland. My first time in Scotland, probably not Dan Hardy's first time in Scotland, but looking forward to a great night of fights. I want to talk about the playoffs, but first let's focus on our main event. Stevie Braveheart Ray, incredibly skilled and creative grappler against a man who might just be his equal in the grappling arts and on the ground. That's the main event.
You know, I am so excited for this fight. Stevie Ray, I've followed his career, I've called his fights, I have enjoyed his fights as a fan. And we know how well-rounded he is. He's got great footwork, great boxing. We've seen him utilize his wrestling, and when he hits the ground, we know how strong his ground game is. Look at this beautiful Scottish twister that he catches against Anthony Pettis. Imagine if he gets that here tonight in Glasgow. But obviously on the other side, he's got Lou Long, who's a very strong judoka, a natural welterweight. The question is Stevie going to be able to handle with him on the ground, given the fact that he is so powerful and strong?
Well, Lewis Long, oftentimes at lightweight, Stevie Ray came in drastically overpowering, drastically outsizing his opponent. Not going to be the case for him tonight, so a different challenge for Braveheart in this man from Wales.
Yeah, absolutely. And the challenge as well with Lou Long is trying to figure out how he's going to fight. Like, we know he's got great grappling skills. His judo is phenomenal. If he closes range and gets that clinch, he's going to throw you on your head and take you back and choke you out. But sometimes Lou can forget that he's a grappler. Sometimes he comes in there and starts throwing these mad power punches, and they can take anybody out. The challenge really for Stevie Ray in the opening is to figure out how Lou Long is going to open this fight, and if Lou Long even has a game plan for the first round.
Look, it was all smiles at the weigh-in, but we know how both of these guys flip the switch when it's time to fight, so we're expecting a lot of intensity, and it should be a very loud Ovo Hydro arena here as Stevie Ray makes the walk for potentially the final time in his career. The verdict's still out on that one. A great main event. Let's talk about the co-main event as well, featuring another Scottish MMA legend, Robert Whiteford, against the guy who's been away from the sport for a little while, but also legendary in his own right, Roger Huerta.
Another really, really interesting fight. Two veterans, two guys that have been in the sport for a long, long time, that know what to deliver for the fans, how to fight. Rob Whiteford always electrifies the fans when he's on the card. He's always a fighter that forces people to face him in the center of the cage. And then Roger Huerta, as we know, a great boxer, a sharp shooter, and a star from a few years ago that still has a lot to give in his game.
That will take place at a catch weight of 150 pounds. Roger Huerta, talked to him in the hotel. I said, hey, as you get older, you're supposed to go up in weight classes. He's actually coming down, feels physically great and mentally sharp. That's going to be a fun co-main event, and there's great fights all over the card, but we're really here to take care of some business in our PFL Europe season. This is the playoffs, and here's how that season format works. 8 fighters in each division. We have 4 different weight classes. 1 regular season fight leading to these playoff semifinals. If you can win this playoff semifinal, you're off to Lyon, France for a chance at a $100,000 PFL Europe Championship. And of course, if you impress enough there, maybe an invitation to the global roster. It'll be Saturday, December 14th in Lyon, France. Tickets will go on sale this week, starting October 2nd. Check out all the information at pfleurope.com, and we will see you in Lyon. 4 champions crowned in 4 different weight classes. Let's take a look at those weight classes. We'll start with the women's flyweight division. Chanel Dyer, a rising star in British MMA, taking on the always tough Valentina Skatici, who made it to the championship last year, looking to take a second crack at it. On the other side of the bracket, it's all Poland. Karolina Wojcik, Paulina Wisniewska, these 2 women expecting some fireworks as they fight for a spot in Lyon, France. At 155 pounds, it looks like this. It's striker versus striker and grappler versus grappler, at least on paper. Connor Hughes, Ignacio Capella, both big-time finishers. Guys with great hands, great striking. And then Jakub Kashuba, last year's lightweight champion here in PFL Europe, chasing another $100,000 check as he takes on Daniela Skatici, who's coming off a beautiful heel hook victory. So some grappling expertise on display in that contest. Dan Hardy knows a thing or two about this division. Welterweight bracket looks like this. Ibrahim Amane, Daniela Micheli. In the top half, Jack Grant and Florim Zendelli squaring off in the other semifinal. And both of those guys are absolutely massive for this 170-pound weight class. Last but certainly not least, the bantamweight bracket. It's all England as Lewis McGrillen and Dean Garnett square off against one another. Expecting that to be a wild one. And then Julian Lopez, Alexander Luster in the other bantamweight semifinal. All of these individuals looking for a $100,000 PFL Europe Championship. And Dan, that means a lot of pressure. This is what the season format is all about. You win, you control your own destiny. If you lose, you hit the reset button and hope the boss calls you and invites you back next year.
You know, it's such a high-pressure format to be in. You know, you go into that regular season fight, that first fight of the year, hoping that you make it through to the finals. But, of course, all of these fighters here, they're within 1 fight striking distance of that $100,000. The pressure right now has to be uncontrollable for these fighters. That really is a part of the battle, isn't it? Backstage in these change rooms as they're warming up, trying to keep the nerves in place, but at the same time not think too far ahead, thinking about the other side of the bracket, potentially fighting in Lyon, the $100,000, and how you're going to spend it.
Well, the stakes only get higher as the PFL builds a Champions League model in the sport of mixed martial arts. PFL Europe Championship, maybe you do fight through Lyon, France. You get that $100,000. You wrap the gold belt around your waist. The journey is far from over. Dakota Ditcheva last year won a PFL Europe Championship. She is now 1 fight away from a $1 million PFL Global Season Championship check. Jakob Neto in the light heavyweight division last year won the bracket, won the season. And guess what? He looked great and impressive in doing so. He gets invited to the PFL Global roster, accounted well for himself, but some of the inexperience did show, and he's going to have to figure some things out. He didn't advance through the playoffs in the global season. So the stakes change, the level of competition changes. Can you get from PFL Europe to a global championship? That's the ultimate goal.
And it's such a tough goal as well. And of course, all eyes are on Dakota right now because she is carving that path. And the fighters on this card are going to be paying close attention to that final fight for Dakota, particularly Chanel Dyer, who has got a vision of not only fighting for that belt at some point, but also fighting Dakota potentially. Imagine that to be an all-England kickboxing match.
That would be a lot of fun to see. But we'll have to wait and see if we get there. The PFL family continues to grow. You've got PFL Europe, you've got PFL Africa coming, you've got PFL MENA, you've got PFL Australia, and everything builds towards our PFL super fights, and there's nothing bigger than what's happening October 19th in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, and the Battle of the Giants.
Saturday, October 19th on DAZN Worldwide. It's a battle of the giants. The undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, Francis Ngannou, makes his historic MMA return against the 6'8" Brazilian titan, Reina the Problema Ferreira. Plus, the GOAT of women's MMA, Chris Cyborg, takes on two-time PFL champ, Larissa Pacheco.
Battle of the Giants, Francis Ngannou, Reina Ferreira, the co-main event, Cyborg versus Pacheco, a legend in women's mixed martial arts against a two-time PFL champion, October 19th in Riyadh on DAZN. That's your main event and co-main event. Look at the rest of that main card. Johnny Eblen, Fabian Edwards, a rematch of epic proportions for the middleweight Bellator strap. AJ McKee, a rising prospect in Paul Hughes, runs into one of the best, most well-rounded, most dangerous fighters in the division in AJ McKee. And even the early card is absolutely fantastic, including a feature bout between Rafion Stotts and Marcos Bueno. That's happening in the bantamweight division. Looking forward to being able to call that fight when we get to Riyadh. But we are here for the PFL Europe playoffs, and we'll start the action with some showcase bouts here in Glasgow. Up first, flyweights, Gemma Auld, Weronika Pietruszka.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the PFL Europe cage, Weronika Pietruszka!
Nie musisz pchać mnie w przepaść, gdy mi brak odwagi. Skoczę sam, bo nie chcę słowa strach w biografii. Poszczepiam przeznaczenie,
After a
jak
14-fight amateur career, Weronika Pietruszka makes her professional debut tonight. Former amateur champion in the women's flyweight division for Alma MMA, a regional promotion. This young woman with a lot of skills, particularly in the grappling department, looking to showcase those and get this fight to the ground.
Taking this one on short notice as well. We had an original opponent that got injured. Weronika really keen to get on this card. First fight of the night, PFL debut. She's taking on Gemma Auld, of course, is making her pro debut as well as PFL debut. So a lot of things, a lot of differences for both of these ladies stepping into the smart cage tonight. Particularly, obviously, for Gemma Auld, who's, you know, had such a standout career as an amateur, now putting the small gloves on to step into her first pro fight.
Well, it's fascinating because Weronika, when she's pushed into the later rounds, things don't necessarily go her way. If she's allowed to start the fight fast, it's been victory for her. 9 pro victories. Excuse me, 9 victories. I gotta stop saying pro. These are amateurs making their pro debut. 9 victories, all 9 of those have come via first round submission.
And her opponent, making her way to the PFL cage, Gemma Auld!
We are here in Glasgow, Scotland. Gemma Auld, our first Scottish fighter on the card, already getting a little bit of love as the crowd filters in. As Dan mentioned, a decorated amateur career as she drops the amateur status for a pro debut tonight. Undefeated as an amateur. It is a different test with the longer rounds and the smaller gloves.
It's also worth noting as well that this particular venue means a lot to these local fighters. The Omo Hydro has been connected to some of their most cherished memories, both in and out of the sport of mixed martial arts. And it was something that Gemma mentioned, not only making her PFL debut and turning pro, but also the opportunity to fight at the Hydro and to make a memory that she can keep for the rest of her life. Always looking at this arena and putting a smile on her face.
6 fights in as an amateur, and she's done that in relatively short order, so maybe equipped for the PFL season format. She only made her debut in June of 2023 and already racked up 6 fights. She likes to stay active, feels ready for this test tonight as she makes a pro debut.
Man, she looks calm. I wonder if that's just a good game face. My heart would be racing right now.
Here's your tail to tape for this first bout of the evening. Gemma Auld, 34 years of age. Weronika Pietruszka is 10 years her junior. Auld, the taller fighter, standing at 5 feet 5 inches. The reach advantage on the arms belongs to the fighter from Poland. The longer legs are on Gemma Auld. And the voice of our smart cage tonight is Andy Shepherd.
Ladies and gentlemen, Glasgow, Scotland, welcome to the PFL Europe playoffs. Tonight, our athletes continue their journeys to $100,000 checks and championship belts. And we start tonight with a special showcase bout. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner. She is an MMA specialist and stands 5 feet 2 inches tall. She went in officially at 124.6 pounds and following a 14-fight amateur career. Tonight, she makes her pro MMA debut. Fighting at the Belal Podlaska, Poland, Weronika Pietruszka. And her opponent fighting out of the red corner. She is an MMA specialist and stands 5 feet 5 inches tall. She went in officially at 124.6 pounds and is undefeated as an amateur. Tonight, she makes her debut as a professional MMA competitor. Fighting out of Kilmarnock, Scotland, Gemma Auld.
Done it. Cool. Just give it back to
Your referee in charge, Dan Moverheady.
Judge.
It'll be 3 5-minute rounds for the first time in the respective careers of Weronika there in the blue
Round number 1.
and Gemma in the black.
Ready? Have fun.
Leg kick to open the action from Pietruszka, and then the takedown on the shot from the fighter out of Poland.
Gemma's on that shoulder clamp straight away, really causing a lot of pain, hyperextending that shoulder, as you can tell. Her opponent's trying to recover that limb straight away and square up into the guard.
Gonna have to be careful of Weronika Pietruszka with that scarf hold headlock position. Was able to try and pass here, gets one leg free.
It looks to me like Gemma Auld might be able to scramble. Yeah, beautiful work with that butterfly hook.
And already the heavy pressure. Excuse me, Dan. A lot of pressure from the Scotswoman on top.
Yeah, this is a strong position here. You can see Pietruszka's got that leg raised. That's keeping the hip in check of her opponent so she can't mount freely. But Gemma Auld looking to slide that knee across the midsection.
Good work from Pietruszka to negate the progress on that knee on belly position.
Watch the back of the head, Gemma.
She's going to have to get her right arm underhooked against Gemma Auld.
Looks like she was considering a limb attack for a moment there as Pietruszka brought her legs up to cause issues. Gemma Auld looking very strong in this position. Looks like she may be able to turn her opponent and expose the back here as well.
Gemma once again tries to step over to a mount. Weronika Pietruszka using that left leg instep. Here comes the left hand from Gemma Auld.
Oh, that looks like an armbar attempt. This needs respect. Gemma's going to try and slide that arm out here. She's got it. She's clear, but she's got to watch her legs. Big shots from the top position.
Pietruszka covering up. Hammer fist coming down from Gemma. The left hand continuing to work.
Let's go, Weronika. You've got to improve your position.
Referee asking for an improvement from the fighter on bottom. Weronika Pietruszka obliges and gets her legs back involved for a closed guard.
Yeah, this closed guard's going to be a little bit safer and give her a few more options to attack as well. Got to watch her arms here, Gemma Auld, as she's posturing up to strike. Looks like a good armbar attempt. You can hear the screams of stack from James Doolan in the corner. She's got her arm clear, but she's still not out of danger here. She's got to be careful being pulled into a triangle.
Nifty hammer fist from the bottom for Weronika Pietruszka. Most of the striking has come from the top and Gemma Auld so far.
Yeah, this is good top control, but Gemma Auld is still having to be very cautious given the trickiness of Pietruszka on the bottom.
Your fingers out of gloves, Gemma. Get your fingers out of gloves.
Back in the same position as she was previously. Gonna have to fix that tape on the glove there.
More hammer fist from the top.
And 90 seconds as well. You've got to bear in mind that this is the first time both of these ladies have fought past 3-minute rounds. Of course, they've been doing it in training. This armbar looks dangerous again.
Another one here from Weronika Pietruszka. Auld has to step all the way over. Weronika continues to chain the attacks together.
Gemma trying to clear that elbow line. 1 minute to go. Man, what a battle for the armbar this is.
Final minute of round one. And Gemma Auld avoids danger, gets back on top.
You've got to think how discouraging this is for Pietruszka on the bottom as well. Keeps trying for these submissions, keeps finding herself in this same situation, almost in a gift wrap position here now. There's a possibility that Gemma Auld could get a TKO finish before the end of this first round. I think Dan Moberhead is going to have a good look here.
He's asking for an improved position, and that is not an improvement from Weronika Pietruszka. Gemma Auld hammering away with the right hand. Man, relentless with this pressure, and only 16 seconds left in this first round. That's the stoppage. Gemma Auld undefeated as an amateur and 1-0 as a pro.
Man, what a pro debut. Gemma Auld on the cage wall. Flag in hand. Great support in the arena for her here as well. Look at this relentless ground and pound here. Submission defense after submission defense. She finally puts herself in that position where Weronika's gassed. She's got nothing left. She's taking big shots. She's bloody. She's turning away. And Gemma Auld piles on the pressure. What a pro debut.
Dan, great instincts from the new pro fighter to smell blood, know when it's time to really pour it on. You saw a lot of those hammer fists weren't necessarily finding their target on the ear or the face, but just the relentless pressure, the unending barrage left Weronika Pietruszka no room at all to improve her position, to move to a better spot, and the referee had no choice but to step in.
Yeah, you know, I think she fought like a pro in her pro debut, which is very unusual to see. You can tell that the time that she spent as an amateur remaining undefeated has given her a good foundation for this debut that she made. She really looked fantastic.
Andy Shepherd will make this one official.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, referee Dan Moberhead calls a halt to the action at 4 minutes and 50 seconds of round number one, declaring your winner via TKO, Gemma Auld.
TKO victory for Gemma Auld, who's now 1-0 as a pro. Dan, I have a feeling you're going to be getting a phone call from that camp. Get us back in there quickly. She likes to be active.
I think so. I think you're right. Really strong pro debut there. Bright future ahead of her for sure. And we know Weronika will be back.
Matiss Zaharovs getting ready for a bantamweight showcase. 5 knockout victories for him in his young career. His opponent, Brian Hyslop, will be waving the Scottish flag, fighting out of Glasgow, and that's where these fights are tonight. Expect a little pop for Hyslop when he makes the walk. Action continues here in Glasgow, Scotland. 3 5-minute rounds in a showcase bout from Matiss Zaharovs and Brian Hyslop.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the PFL Europe cage, Brian Hyslop.
You can see a return to competition for this man after being away from the sport since 2018. The thrill of competition and an opportunity to fight in front of his hometown calls him back. Got to knock off some ring rust. Some fighters don't believe it's real, Dan. We're going to find out with this young man.
I don't think it's real for Brian Hyslop. I don't think he has any ring rust. He was ready to go yesterday at the weigh-ins. He was ready to go on Wednesday when he arrived for fight week. Like, he is the most intense fighter that we've seen in all the face-offs this week. He was shaking with aggression every time he's been in front of his opponent, Matiss. I think he's going to really try and start this fight very, very quickly. Put the pressure on his opponent as soon as he can. He gives up a decent bit of height and reach as well in this fight. You know, we've seen Matiss last time in Newcastle. He was moving very well. He was a sharpshooter from the outside, or at least that's what he was trying to do for the most part. If he's trying to do that with Brian Hyslop, he's going to be really struggling to get away from him.
Both of these men expected to be seeking a finish. Half of Brian's victories come inside the distance. All of the victories for his opponent, Matiss Zaharovs, have come short of that final bell.
Looks like they're trying to clean something off his knee or his legs. I think he may have put Tiger Balm. A lot of fighters do that all the way through fight week just to kind of heal old bruises and injuries, but we used to get lathered up in this stuff before Muay Thai fights. We can't wear it in mixed martial arts. And I tell you what, you do not want it in your eyes as well. It's one of the most unpleasant things. Really, really good for muscle recovery, but has no place in the smart cage.
A final touch or two of the Vaseline. One last check for the mouthpiece.
And his opponent, Matiss Zaharovs.
Matiss Zaharovs waving the Latvian flag tonight. Lives and trains in Kildare, Ireland. Strong representative of exactly what this PFL Europe season is about. Scouting and finding the best rising talent and giving them an opportunity to build through a Champions League model in the sport of mixed martial arts. As I mentioned, all 6 of his wins have come inside the distance. 4 first-round knockouts for this young man. And while it's been 6 years since the last pro competition for his opponent, Matiss Zaharovs just fought for the PFL back in June. A very close fight against Lewis McGrillen, who you'll see later on the card in a playoff semifinal. Zaharovs was eager to get back in the win column after that decision loss.
Lots of people have good things to say about Matiss Zaharovs training at SBG in Ireland. There's a real strong mat of training partners and bodies there for him, and he has a very, very good reputation for being really problematic for everybody there. Same record for these two guys as well, 6-3, but obviously the recent activity of Matiss may give him that psychological advantage, if nothing else.
Here's your tail of the tape for this second showcase bout of the night. Matiss Zaharovs, 26 years of age. Brian Hyslop is much older at 37. Both men standing 5 feet 6 inches tall. Reach advantage, as one might expect, going to Matiss Zaharovs, but not that big. 69-inch measurement on the arms. A full 7-inch advantage on the leg. Excuse me, on the arms.
Ladies and gentlemen, the following fight is a special showcase bout in the bantamweight division. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner. He is an MMA specialist and stands 5 feet 6 inches tall. He went in officially at 136 pounds and holds a professional MMA record of 6 wins and 3 losses. Fighting out of Glasgow, Scotland, and his opponent fighting out of the red corner. He is a striking specialist and stands 5 feet 6 inches tall. He went in officially at 135.8 pounds and also holds a record of 6 victories and 3 defeats. 5 big wins coming by way of knockout. Fighting out of Kildare, Ireland, Matiss Zaharovs. Your referee in charge, Derek Hickey.
Derek Hickey to oversee this action. There's Zaharovs in the black trunks. The local from Glasgow, Brian Hyslop, is in the blue.
Man, Hyslop is fired up.
Ready? Ready?
Let's go. He is fired up.
Southpaw stance here for Zaharovs. Inside leg kick. First thing that lands.
And interesting that it's Hyslop that's doing the movement with Zaharovs trying to push forward, even though he's the one with the reach advantage. I was expecting Zaharovs to try and let Hyslop come to him.
Tried to walk him onto a left hand there.
Hyslop's a firecracker, though. I think as soon as there's an opportunity for him to rev the engine, he's going. Man, there he goes. Oh!
First blitz and then a brief pause and a left hook to finish.
Yeah, that little left hook connected with the chin. Well taken by Zaharovs.
Front kick misses there for Matiss Zaharovs. Ooh, left hand landed, though.
Good counters to the low kicks by Zaharovs. Punches over kicks. Hyslop got to be careful throwing that inside low kick again.
Certainly got the attention of Brian Hyslop, did Matiss Zaharovs. There's a left hand finding a home again. Bit of a clash in the center of our cage.
Got to be careful with that knee at the center, Hyslop. When he's crashing forward, his head's coming down into that center pocket. Matiss is going to read that. He's going to be cautious.
The left leg of Matiss Zaharovs getting more active here as this round progresses. 90 seconds in.
Like the defensive movement of Hyslop here. It's getting him out of the range of a lot of these more dangerous shots that Matiss is throwing.
And the man from Glasgow switches stances, mirroring the southpaw position.
Opens up the calf kick for both of these fighters as well. Man, big crash forward. And there's the left hook again. Matiss counters with a straight left though. Always a package of 3 punches when he moves forward like that, and something always connects.
And it's fascinating, even when he stymies the distance, crashing in a little too far, then that left hook is ready to be on court as Zaharovs retreats. Clinch fighting, good body shot to finish for Zaharovs.
Oh, that was a good knee. You can hear the corner of Brian Hyslop calling for more feints. I think that would be wise. He could try and get Zaharovs to bite on some of his feints and then throw his punches so he's not as obvious to pick off as he's moving forward.
Left hook, swing and a miss. And again.
There's that knee again from Matiss. That's gone silent in here all of a sudden.
Brief cup check here. No doubts on that one as we take a look at the replay.
They love a second angle of a groin shot. Oh man, front kick right to the cup. We got an apology from the truck there for the second angle. It's all right, guys. We don't mind. Again with the left hook on the end, right, Sean?
Beautiful timing. It was the overhand right, then the left hook.
A good body kick as well. I think something that makes it difficult as well, especially now Hyslop has added in the level change. When he moves forward at speed, it's difficult to tell whether he's going to level change onto a leg or he's swarming with punches. Like, it might be why he keeps freezing Zaharovs as he's moving forward with those aggressive power punches.
Credit to the camp here in Glasgow. Brian Hyslop does not look like he's been out of competition for 6 years.
No, he looks in good shape, and he looks calm and relaxed this first round as well. With the intensity of the face-off yesterday, I thought he was going to struggle to control himself. But he's actually doing a really good job of managing his pace here. 25 seconds left in the first round. Matiss with head pressure.
Zaharovs doing an excellent job here against the cage. Initiates the takedown, but finds himself on the worst end of it. Final 10 seconds of round 1.
Good with the knee again.
Great work again by Zaharovs.
Be on the lookout. Francis Ngannou and Henan Pereira freeze for impact.
How about that little teaser for us? Francis Ngannou, Henan Pereira, October 19th, DAZN pay-per-view, the Battle of the Giants.
There's that left hook creeping through as Hyslop's crashing forward. I think we're going to see another one as well. It's the speed as well. You know, he crashes forward, he moves at such pace, but he's dropping his level change, you see. And as soon as he added in his wrestling, it becomes a different thing to judge. Now, this is a nice little takedown scramble here. You can see Zaharovs trying to turn him off the fence. Hyslop scrambles to top position, swarms with punches.
Zaharovs was able to retry that same takedown as the round closed. Got Hyslop down successfully, but no time left to do anything with it as we begin round 2. There was a brief conversation there, I think, about the headbutt with that forward posture. Oh, good knee from Matiss Zaharovs.
I think that hurts him. That's the first time I've seen his posture change. Now he's in a half guard position here. He's got the underhook. Good work by Matiss, taking the underhook away. Hyslop gets it back. Looking for a butterfly hook position here, see if he can elevate his opponent. Great punches from the top position, though, by Matiss.
Strong work with the left hand from Matiss Zaharovs.
See if he can create some space here. Matiss looks like he wants to hold this position though. And he's utilizing his head position really well to segregate his punches. He's using head position to keep his opponent pinned and then dropping a punch in. Very clever work, as you would expect from an SBG grappler.
I'd be curious to know how the corners spoke to the fighters about who won the first frame of this fight, because Zaharovs willing to stay in this top position, try to guarantee himself a win in round number 2. A very close first round.
Yeah, a difficult one to score that was. I think Zaharovs landed some good counter shots as Hyslop was moving in, but the bigger punches I feel were landed by Brian Hyslop in that round. But this is a clear dominance for Matiss.
And I think we might count the knee that got us to the ground here as a knockdown.
I think we may. I would like to see a replay of it, because it looked for a moment Hyslop was really hurt. Dropped to his knees, covered his head, and he's recovering very well, but that knee must have been impactful to get that reaction. Oh, Darce choke being set up here. That was a nice drag off the fence as well, putting Hyslop back onto his shoulders square.
Midpoint of the fight, halfway through round number 2, Matiss Zaharovs. Heavy pressure on top, strong work with his left hand continues.
Big explosion being called for from the corner of Hyslop, who has his underhook now. If he can build up to his side, he might be able to start climbing up the fence. Great top control here by Zaharovs. Hooks the leg, potentially looking to try and pry the half guard apart here so he can clear his right leg. Oh, Kimura attempt. It's an awkward angle though. He needs to get over the head of Brian Hyslop, really.
Decides to abandon the grip, settle back into a controlled position and work with the strike.
There's the underhook again. He's got to build higher. Zaharovs is doing such a good job of keeping his weight on him, and now he's on the neck. That looks very tight.
Zaharovs rolls through after the retreat from Hyslop, but look at that. Has to let go of the neck.
Cheer of appreciation there from the crowd for Hyslop being able to get out of that dangerous situation. Oh, and now mouth for Matiss, who takes the back of Hyslop. This is going to be more difficult to escape. That arm looks like it's sliding under the chin.
Matiss Zaharovs looking to secure the hooks first, and now there's a squeeze in the turn. Matiss Zaharovs rear naked choke in the second.
Very impressive. I think Zaharovs could become a star, you know. I think he's got all the ingredients, all the potential he needs. I like the more aggressive performance out of him as well, on the front foot, trying to pick his opponents off, stabbing with the front kicks, and then, of course, the takedown, the knee, to the ground and pound and the rear naked choke. Zaharovs shaking out his arm as well. I wonder if he's picked up an injury here. So here's the knee. You can see Hyslop drop his... Oh, man, that was a good one. Hyslop dropped his head into the pocket. It comes right up and cracks him on the chin. It's incredible now to see it, to realize that Hyslop's able to continue fighting. And then let's look at this scramble here. From mount, hooks go in, Hyslop scrambling in the scramble, the arm goes under the neck. You can see Hyslop doing what he can to control wrists here, but Matiss with the body control. Punches that arm in under the neck, gets his hands together. Hyslop can feel the pressure across his neck straight away.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, referee Derek Hickey calls a halt to the action at 4 minutes and 18 seconds of round number 2. Declaring your winner to a submission by a rear naked choke, Matiss Zaharovs.
Back in the win column, the 7th pro victory for Matiss Zaharovs, the 2nd by submission. Lorenzo Parente will make the walk as a professional for the 4th time. So far, his record unblemished as a pro. Waving that Scottish flag here in Glasgow. He'll take on a fighter with more than double his experience. Triple, in fact. Stefano Catacoli, fighting out of London, representing Italy as well. A man who likes to push fights into the deep waters. Showcase action in the lightweight division coming. Three 5-minute rounds of showcase action. Lorenzo Parente, Stefano Catacoli.
Making their way to the PFL Europe cage, Stefano Catacoli.
Last man talk about pressure. I don't feel pressure.
He's won 4 out of his last 5. Holds a couple of regional lightweight belts. Well, actually, 1 lightweight, 1 featherweight. Made his debut back in February of 2020. A tough time to get your career started in mixed martial arts. Right before the pandemic set in, full strength.
Absolutely, but the Ghost is one of the regulars on the mat at GB Top Team. He's always down there. You're going to see Brad Pickett in his corner. He's a great striker. He's got really strong grappling. He can take this fight anywhere, and he was due to be fighting this week on Ares. They've released him to allow him to come over here and fight for PFL. We were really struggling to find an opponent for Lorenzo Parente, and that's why you can see that 3-0 for Parente and 8-2 for Stefano Catacoli. That tells you how highly regarded Lorenzo Parente is held. And Stefano's been so excited. There's all this week. At the start of the week, he felt like he was not going to be able to compete. He thought he was going to get pushed back until later in the year, maybe even 2025. And for these young fighters, that's not ideal. To get the call up with the opportunity, I think he would have fought anybody on this night.
Well, if you think about the showcase opportunities being presented here, every one of these fighters knows exactly what the PFL season is about. PFL Europe means if you can impress here, maybe the head of European fighter operations, Dan Hardy, will call you and say, hey, we'd like you to be part of our season next year where you can chase $100,000 in a European belt.
And next to the PFL Europe cage, Lorenzo Parente.
Parente, 4 fights in tonight as a professional mixed martial artist. But don't let that small number of pro fights fool you. This guy had 20+ amateur contests and has a skill set to match. All 3 of his pro wins have come inside the first round, all 3 by knockout. It's less than a year since he made that pro debut, but a lot of people think he is the next big thing in the Scottish mixed martial arts scene.
So much so that a few months ago, before he turned professional, he entered a 4 Nations tournament as an amateur, and he was awarded a PFL Prospects grant to support his training. We've had our eyes on this kid for a long time. He's a very special prospect. But to have Stefano Catacoli on the other side of the cage, man, we have 2 very special prospects faced off in a showcase bout on the undercard.
can run if you want. I've done.
Tail of the tape for this one looks like this. Lorenzo Parente, 23 years of age. Stefano Catacoli is only 25. Both men standing 5 feet 10 inches tall. The reach advantage favoring the Englishman on both arms and legs here.
Ladies and gentlemen, the following is a special showcase bout in the lightweight division. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner. He is an MMA specialist and stands 5 feet 10 inches tall. He weighed in officially at 155.8 pounds and across his 10-fight career has earned a record of 8 wins and 2 losses. Fighting out of London, England, Stefano, the Ghost, Catacoli. And his opponent, fighting out of the red corner. He is an MMA specialist and stands 5 feet 10 inches tall. He went in officially at 155.8 pounds and holds a perfect, undefeated record of 3 victories and no defeats. Fighting out of Edinburgh, Scotland, Lorenzo Parente! The referee in charge, Paul Crossley.
Paul Crossley to oversee the action. Lorenzo Parente is in the black trunks. Stefano Catacoli in the green.
Red, blue, that's what.
Man, I am just so excited as a fan for this domestic clash here between two really, really talented prospects. Look at the movement of Parente to start with, though. He's constant. Nice level change there. Catacoli's able to defend, though. Looks to reverse the takedown himself.
Beautiful sprawl from the Englishman. After 5 kicks already thrown from Parente in the first 30 seconds of this fight, and then the takedown attempt.
Real battle for underhooks here. You can see both of these jockeying for position up against the fence. Parente turns him back, tries to get head position. Catacoli digs his underhook high.
Those fingers.
And Parente's made it look so easy so far as a professional mixed martial artist. 3 first-round knockouts. Wouldn't be surprised if Stefano Catacoli and his camp like the idea of making this one become a grappling match, letting it go a little bit longer and forcing the Scottish prospects to get into a little bit deeper water.
Well, that was 2 good efforts from Lorenzo Parente to get the fight to the floor, and as they were heading to the floor, Catacoli was able to reverse it. And this is an interesting position they're getting into here. Parente getting his hips out to one side. Trying to push off the fence. Catacoli's controlling from this top position. Squares Parente into the fence. Got to be cautious of this triangle that Parente's setting up here. Look at that armbar attempt.
Lorenzo Parente with the quick submission. Lightning quick, Dan Hardy.
Wow. Wow. That was a legitimate win for Lorenzo Parente. Wow. Not messing around. Didn't land on the floor on his terms. Was able to find that armbar off the fence and locked it in super tight.
Add a submission in the first round to the knockouts already on the resume of Lorenzo Parente. The outside trip from Lorenzo Parente leads to a spin, and actually Stefano Catacoli on top. You can see how calm Lorenzo Parente remains here. And look how quickly this submission happens. uses his feet to cage walk, gets deep on the armbar and immediately extends. Does not allow Stefano Catacoli to stack up and defend that armbar. Here's the other angle. Scooping the arm underneath, cage walking with the feet. Had that left hand of Stefano Catacoli trapped in the armpit and just extends the hips for a quick tap. What a submission for Lorenzo Parente. Evidence there why the PFL wanted him on a prospect grant and making his first PFL debut here on home soil. Andy Shepard makes it official.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, referee Paul Crosby calls a halt to the action at 1 minute and 45 seconds of round number 1. Declaring your winner by submission to an armbar, Lorenzo Parente!
Little pop from the Glasgow crowd for the man out of Edinburgh. Lorenzo Parente, still undefeated as a young pro mixed martial artist, and Dan Hardy is with the winner.
Ladies and gentlemen, Glasgow, Scotland. My goodness, what a performance. I had to grab my microphone and get a word from this young prospect, Lorenzo Parente. My friend, just talk to me about the emotion that you're feeling right now.
I feel great. So many ups, so many downs in this camp. Like, I had to face so much adversity coming into this. I didn't even know I was fighting until this week, so it feels good. The work's paying off and I can't wait for the next step.
I tell you, my friend, it's been incredibly difficult to match you. Nobody wants to fight you, and now we can see why. This is going to be a problem through your career. How are you going to keep these opponents stepping into the cage when you keep running through them like this?
I'll honestly fight anyone, mate. It doesn't matter who's across the cage for me. They're getting smashed, and especially on my home soil here in Scotland. Let's go!
Lorenzo, look at these screens. Look at this beautiful armbar. Did you know when you landed on the floor that you'd be able to catch him with this?
Yeah, I knew as soon as I was on my back, I could get him in and I could get him there. I felt his arm crack and I knew it was over. Yeah.
And a message to these Glasgow fans that are in for a treat tonight.
I love yous all. Enjoy the rest of the show. Let's go!
Ladies and gentlemen, Lorenzo Parente!
Strong night so far for the Scottish fans and Scottish fighters. Plenty more Scots on the card. Our final 3 fights tonight. We'll have red corner fighters out of Scotland. Time now for playoff action. This is the reason we are here in Glasgow. Semi-final matchups. An opportunity for fighters to earn a spot in Lyon, France for the coming championships of PFL Europe. That was Karolina Wojcik, her opponent Paulina Wisniewska, and all Poland affair coming.
The Scottish always get behind their heroes.